If you value serious history and hard-earned survival lessons, subscribe to this channel now, because what follows is not pop culture nostalgia, but a grounded look at how families in the 1970s actually thought about protecting their homes and teaching responsibility inside them. This era sat at a crossroads of rising urban crime, shrinking police response times in some regions, and a cultural belief that households had to be self-reliant. What many people remember as sibling traps or backyard justice was really a crude, often misguided expression of home defense thinking, shaped by the limits and fears of the decade. Understanding that mindset matters if you want to separate myth from usable knowledge. The reason this subject still hooks viewers for a full minute is simple. The 1970s produced a generation that learned defense through experience, not manuals. Kids were latchkey siblings. Parents worked late. Homes were empty for hours. That vacuum bred improvisation. Siblings tested boundaries. Older kids tried to secure rooms or possessions. Younger ones pushed back. The resulting traps, pranks and payback schemes mirrored the adult world's obsession with perimeter control and deterrence, scaled down to bedrooms, basements and garages. It was messy, risky and revealing. Why the 1970s home defense mindset leaned toward improvisation rather than systems is rooted in context. Affordable consumer alarm systems were rare, unreliable and expensive. Neighborhood watch programs were only just gaining traction. Police departments themselves, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, were publishing crime statistics that showed increases in burglary across many cities. Families responded with what they had: mechanical thinking, noise and surprise. This same logic filtered down to siblings protecting their space from one another. What people, casually call booby traps in this period were usually deterrents, not weapons. The intent, at least at first, was early warning or, maybe a bit of embarrassment, not injury. A string tied to a bell on a door, an object balanced to fall loudly when moved, or a light rigged to switch on unexpectedly. These were all about announcing intrusion. In a sibling context, these methods doubled as lessons in cause and effect. Cross this line, make noise, get caught. The danger came when deterrence slid into retaliation. Sibling payback culture mattered because it revealed how escalation happens. One trap leads to a countermeasure. The countermeasure becomes more elaborate. Suddenly, the original goal of protection is replaced by, one-upmanship. In adult home defense history, you see the same escalation when property owners move from locks to bars to aggressive devices, sometimes crossing legal and ethical lines. The lesson for modern survivalists is not admiration, but caution. There are practical applications here that still matter, provided you strip out the recklessness. The first is understanding human behavior. Noise works, light works, surprise works. In the 1970s, a simple auditory signal often stopped intrusion because it removed anonymity. Today, you can apply that principle legally and safely by focusing on visibility and alerting rather than concealment. Motion-activated lights, basic alarms, and clear boundaries do the same psychological job without risking harm. Another lesson lies in layered defense. Even crude sibling setups followed a pattern. An early warning at the doorway, followed by a secondary signal deeper inside the space, and finally a confrontation or call for help. This mirrors modern home defense doctrine. You can apply this by thinking in zones. The perimeter should announce presence. The interior should delay and document. The final layer should be communication, not conflict. In the 1970s household, that communication was yelling for a parent or sibling. Today, it is a phone call or monitored alert. The history also warns against revenge-driven design. Many sibling payback traps failed because they were built emotionally, not logically. They ignored unintended consequences. Someone innocent triggered them. Someone got hurt. In modern terms, this is why most jurisdictions strictly regulate or ban devices intended to injure trespassers. The historical takeaway is that defense built on anger is unstable. Defense built on predictability and restraint endures. For survivalists and historians, the real value of this topic is cultural literacy. When you hear older generations talk about growing up tough or defending themselves, this is what they mean. They were raised in environments where personal responsibility filled gaps left by technology and institutions. You can respect that resilience while rejecting the unsafe methods that sometimes accompanied it. Applying this knowledge today means adopting the principles without repeating the mistakes. Focus on deterrence over punishment. Use redundancy without escalation. Teach boundaries clearly, whether to family members or neighbours, and rely on systems that protect everyone involved. The 1970s remind us that improvisation is a skill, but discipline is the safeguard that keeps improvisation from becoming a liability. If this kind of grounded, no-nonsense historical analysis matters to you, subscribe to the Legacy of Survival channel, share this episode with someone who cares about real-world preparedness history, and keep these lessons alive by discussing them responsibly.